Archives of Prasar Bharati presents the timeless treasure of golden era.
Welcome to this special series of MindWatch. The birth of a child is a joyous event in any family. Most parents provide for and understand the physical needs and comforts of their child, yet few of them realize the importance of psychological and emotional needs. In this series, we will attempt to draw the attention of all those responsible for nurturing and upbringing of the children so that we can give the very best to them. In today's episode, let us focus on the general issues of child psychology and development.
The first cry of a newborn is a source of immense joy to everyone around. From then on starts the unfolding of the developmental drama of the child which keeps everyone enthralled. The parents share the joys as well as sorrows, efforts and successes of their children. Every effort is closely observed and encouraged by the parents. At times, certain factors in the child or the environment may retard this process of normal psychological development. Yet, by and large, most children move swiftly along the canvas of life, painting different shades and colors of emotions.
The development of each and every child goes through a series of predictable changes and steps, be it their growth physically, motor development, language development, or even social and emotional development. Although each and every child is unique in the way they grow up and mature, but there is a general yardstick by which to assess this process of growth and see if something has gone wrong and when.
One of the characteristic features of childhood is growth and development. This is a constant process. Now we see this very clearly in the physical growth of the child. We see it grow over the years in height, weight, muscular development and so on. But much of the development that goes on is not seen. This is with reference to the various cognitive processes. It is also true with reference to the emotional development, the moral development, the language development, as well as development in personal and social behavior.
A young child who is below 3 needs the affection, the warmth and a stimulating environment which only a mother can provide.
So this kind of a very mutually enjoyable interaction between the mother and the child or the caregiver and the child is the basis for cognitive development, and this is a very important essential component for the child to develop further in terms of his or her intellectual development.
A home where there are both the parents and preferably siblings is probably a home where the child would thrive. There should be some amount of congeniality, cordiality amongst the parents and the siblings. If you have a home which is a broken home, or there is single parent, or there is poverty, deprivation or alcoholism in the family, and any kind of abnormal situation at home is likely to affect the child adversely.
Deprivations occur. For example, the deprivation can be material deprivation or physical deprivation. What exactly happens in poor families? There is no house to live, no food to eat, and this basic sort of deprivation can give rise to insecurity and hence emotional instability.
The parents play a vital role in the development of a growing child. Family atmosphere, parental attitude, and presence or absence of other significant family members like the grandparents, siblings and other relatives does have long-term impact on the personality of the child. Of course, the impact of all these factors keeps on varying, but early childhood maternal deprivation or deprivation of any other type can have long-term consequences on the personality of the child.
Poverty and insanitary conditions not only lead to physical deprivation like food, clothing and shelter, but also breeds tensions within the family. This deprivation is further compounded by a lack of parental love and guidance. Child labor at an age when they should be studying robs them of opportunities and personality development.
My name is Ashok and I earn my livelihood by doing these shows. I do want to study and go to school, but my father does not allow me to do so. He wants me to work and earn money.
ऐसे माहौल में पलने वाले बच्चे होते हैं.
Children coming from the underprivileged sections of our society have to face very different kinds of problems. They are deprived of the basic necessities even. In fact, they are often deprived of parental care and affection. Their innocent childhood gets suppressed, burdened by responsibilities and duties. Not only do they have to look after themselves, but quite often they have to assume the adult role at home, taking care of the younger siblings and different household chores. And on top of this, what they often get in return is abuse and neglect.
ये उनका भी खाना तैयार करके बैठे रहते हैं और उसके बाद भी ये मारपीट ही पाते हैं.
Non-sexual abuse is broadly of three kinds. One is abuse more by errors of omission rather than commission, where the child is neglected for some reason. For instance, parents who are not sensitive to the child's emotional needs, both parents are working, they believe that they're doing something for the family, but the child is really being subject to abuse in terms of being deprived of parental guidance, concern, affection and so forth.
The second thing that is happening in the country is the child abuse. Child abuse, the problem is beating of the child because they're not progressive in the child. This thing are creating some problem. Beating is not the answer. But sexually also the children are being abused, and recently we have come to know a lot of things are happening in our own country.
Now, physical abuse is most common in the form of punishment, and this punishment may be actual bodily harm, for example, slapping or whipping children repeatedly, or sometimes a more covert kind like making a child stand out in the hot sun. Now, this kind of physical abuse seems to have greater sanction, and we don't often consider it abuse, but really it is abuse, and especially when it has been going on chronically, it can have long-lasting effects.
Well, punishment to me comes at very different levels and very different stages. Now, you see, there's a stage when a child gets stubborn. There's a way of handling his stubbornness, and I don't mean that even when a child is stubborn or he need to be punished, you don't have to really scold him, or you don't have to necessarily beat him up for that, which has been done a lot by the Indian parent as such.
In my view, as a parent, the punishment is a good I should give a punishment to my child, but it shouldn't be very harsh. But punishment should be given only in a way so that it should be the limit, that I should tell my child that this is the limit of what things has to be done. Well, if he goes beyond this limit, then I think if it is wrong, then the punishment has to be given. But it shouldn't be very harsh so that it affects the development of the child.
In fact, I feel that it is all right to once in a while beat your child till about 16 years of age. It is important because by then he would definitely acquire a sense of responsibility and would be mature enough.
So definitely he will grow up.
I am not in favor of scolding or beating the children. If parents are too strict, then children tend to get rebellious. However, it is definitely important to keep an eye on them so that they can be guided towards the right direction.
There has been research recently which suggests that emotional abuse going on over a period of time contributes in great measure to the development of personality problems in the long run.
The child is then not able to sort of express itself. So we do get patients with a lot of injuries, bodily injuries and psychological trauma, plus the children will start exhibiting hysterical symptoms. And again, as I said, whenever the child is brought to the hospital, it is the family, it is the parent that require more of treatment rather than child itself.
Sibling rivalry is a common problem in childhood. What is it? Is jealousy between two children in the same family normal? Do children learn to outgrow it and overcome it with time? Is it beneficial in some ways? Let's find out.
What it is, you know, and I know that you are feeling jealous about somebody's look or achievement, and this is generally comes from the low self-esteem. When child has low self-esteem, it gives that feeling that I'm not good enough. The primary cause, I think, is the parental likeness and the dislikeness of a child because of his temperament, his attitude, his academic achievement.
Girls are much more tolerant than the boys. I have two sons, and every time they sit down for studying, they want to sit at the same place. Then we have to intervene and calm them down.
I have two sons and each feels the other is the pampered one. They often get into a tiff and then one has to talk it out with both of them.
It is always the younger one who is the troublemaker because he is a pampered child. Although both of them are equally dear to the parents, each one of them feels that the parents are partial towards the other one. In order to ease out this tension, it is important to talk to them and make them understand.
Parent must not compare the child with other child. They must focus on the child's effort, not the product. And parents must not take side, avoid taking side of one child against the other.
Grandparents bring with them the years of wisdom and experience that can also provide the atmosphere necessary for the overall growth of the child, including intellectual and emotional development. They can provide love and guidance in a non-threatening manner.
One of the strengths of the Indian families is the extended Indian family, or well as the presence of the grandparents in the family. When the father and mother are busy, these grandparents can look after and provide the love and affection the child so very much requires.
Grandparents can find time, can guide them through their studies, their extracurricular activities, their general behavior, and a sense of confidence to fight competitions outside and be a successful citizen and with appropriate career growth.
The grandparents need not guide the child very much, but their parents do need to guide the child in the right direction. Then grandparents have to take care of the health, and then they are properly guided by the parents.
Grandparents can give them moral support, taking interest in their activities, although their studies are different as it was initially at the time of grandparents, but even then they can morally support them and give them confidence so that the child should be very confident when he is appearing for the school, exams or whatever activities he is doing.
The school is only next to the home in as far as the shaping of personality of a growing child is concerned. It offers a wide exposure of a variety of social and academic opportunities to the child, which enables them to develop socially and emotionally. a school environment that facilitates the flowering of hidden potentials of the child through curricular and extracurricular activities ensures the development of a well-rounded personality in them.
As the child grows older, he is brought out from the confines of a protective home atmosphere, out into the world, and normally school is the first major exposure in the outside world. For a number of years, school plays a very important part in shaping up the personality of a child. A healthy teacher-student interaction and a school atmosphere can go a long way in helping the child realize the fullest potential.
Stimulating school environment is very important for the growing children because there are hundreds of problems that the children face in the school. For a healthy teacher-student interaction, old days are over where we used to say that all right, the teacher is the taught and students are the learners. Now it has to be open atmosphere in the school where the children can discuss with the teachers. Teachers have to be the facilitators. They cannot be the teachers.
The teacher and the student should have a very good communication. There should be no communication gap. Children should have so much of confidence in the teacher that they are not scared of her.
Things can go wrong even in childhood. There are multiple factors which are responsible for the normal growth physically and emotionally of the child. At each stage of development, there are a lot of pressures and demands which have to be met with. If the coping mechanisms of the child are not good enough, it could lead to emotional disturbances, subsequently leading to psychological illnesses. Even the innocent period of childhood is not free from such pressures.
Most often in the general hospitals, the majority of the children are mentally retarded. When you take out the 50% of the mental retarded, we come across mostly the emotional disordered children, and apart from that, we have overactive children. We also come across with specific developmental delays in the form of learning disturbances where the child, though has normal intelligence, cannot look after his studies. In addition, we have special symptoms in the form of passing urine and motion in the clothes.
In a pediatrics clinic, we find children who fall in four different categories of problems, psychiatric problems. They are basically problems of feelings like depression, problems of body functions like psychosomatic disorders, problems of behavior, and problems of learning difficulties which children face in school.
There are out there in school about maybe 10 to 20% children who have a combination of academic, behavioral and emotional problems, some of whom may even satisfy medical criteria for disorder. Some of them may not, and this is a conservative estimate.
So, it's clear that even children can develop mild to severe emotional disturbances, developmental problems and difficulties in coping. It's important to recognize them at the earliest and then seek help. But whom to seek help from, where to get it from, and what is the best way of timely intervention?
The major problem that we find in our country is to convince the parents that the child has a problem and he needs to go to a psychiatrist.
The psychiatrist generally examines the child and also see the family setup, whether the family problems are causing the emotional problem or conduct disturbances or the scholastic problems of the child.
In understanding a child, testing has a major role to play. Psychological testing actually is a standardized situation in which the behavior of the child or a segment of the behavior is observed.
Testing is important because it helps us to know the child's functioning, generally the psychological functioning, which can include the child's intelligence, attention, memory, and in addition to this, it is also possible to know the problems faced by the children, whether it is in the interpersonal relationships or within himself.
A child from the age of 3 to 4 years spends a lot of time in the schools and colleges, and it is the teachers who can identify early problems, either report to the parents or report to the particular agency or report to the school health doctors, who can really take up such issues. For example, epileptics, mental retardation, behavior problems or school dropouts could be really handled by the school children.
This is how, in an eclectic way, the psychiatrist, the pediatrician, the psychologist, the social worker and the special educator, depending upon the type of the problem, they intervene and handle the child.
If the child is unusually withdrawn or quiet, is not sleeping or eating properly, is fearful, anxious or depressed, is lagging behind in development or at school, or is not as playful or happy as other children are, it is time to seek help. It is possible that the child may not even be aware that he is having a problem or may be masking the problem. If you feel that there is a problem and you are not able to manage on your own or with the help of friends and family, you must consult your family physician, pediatrician or a mental health professional at the earliest, so that the problem can be remedied.
Here are some do's and don'ts for parents. Accept your child unconditionally. Be a good role model yourself. Instill confidence in your child. Provide a warm, secure home atmosphere. Discipline your child with love. Your child should be your first priority. Don't keep criticizing your child. Don't be over anxious and impatient. Don't snub your child's curiosity. Avoid using physical forms of punishment. Don't ignore any problem behavior. Don't postpone seeking professional help.
It's time we realize and accept the fact that children's psychological needs are as important as their physical ones. If not identified at the earliest, that can lead to faulty growth or personality development. Each one of us at our own level must provide the right kind of physical and psychological atmosphere so that the child is able to blossom into self-sufficient, caring, emotionally stable adult, able to realize the fullest potentials.
Silent in your tears, wasted in your years. When you cry alone. Recourse to fantasy, living with insanity. Another night beside the phone. Let your mind feel the pain. Seek your meaning by MindWatch. Gauge the war within. Addictions in the bin. Curl up with your memories. Togetherness and harmony.